Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone, passion for excellence.
Here are today's top headlines. GM's talks over Opel hit a snag, and GM is dropping out of NUMMI, and Ford is boosting production. Up next, we'll be back with the news behind the headlines. This is Autoline Daily for Tuesday, June 30th, 2009, and now the news. The Financial Times reports GM's talks to sell part of Opel to Magna have hit a snag. The FT says Magna's Russian partners want access to GM's global technology so they can build Opels in Russia, which GM is not too keen to see happen. Also, GM wants a clause to be able to buy back some or all of Opel. RHJ International, a Belgium-based investment firm related to Ripplewood, has improved its offer to buy Opel, paying more attention to saving jobs in Germany, a critical political issue that's going to determine who gets part of Opel. GM's also backing out of the NUMMI joint venture with Toyota, an assembly plant in California that both companies shared for over a quarter of a century. The plant built 340,000 vehicles last year, including 150,000 Toyota Corollas, 120,000 Toyota Tacoma pickups, and 70,000 Pontiac Vibes. There had been some discussion of rebadging the Pontiac Vibe as a Chevrolet, but GM decided not to do that. Instead, GM is using its bankruptcy to get out of the joint venture. But Toyota's moving forward with plans to build another factory in Brazil. According to Bloomberg, the company decided to proceed with plans after Brazil extended a tax cut to boost vehicle sales. Construction begins later this year and expects to be completed by 2011. The plant will build compact cars with an annual capacity of 150,000 vehicles. Ford announced it will increase production in the third quarter this year. According to the Detroit Free Press, the company will build 15,000 more cars and 10,000 more trucks than originally planned. Ford cites growing consumer confidence, reduced rate of jobless claims, and the new Cash for Clunkers bill as reasons to increase production. You know, whenever a company announces production increases before it releases its latest sales, that is a good sign. The Hyundai Assurance Program lets you walk away from a new car if you can't make the payments, but now the company is heaping on the benefits. Called Gas Lock, it guarantees a year's worth of fuel at $1.49 per gallon. That's about €0.5 per liter. Consumers are allowed a maximum number of gallons equal to 12,000 miles divided by the combined fuel economy of the car. You know, we're going to see June sales tomorrow, and whenever a company heaps on sales incentives just before it announces sales, it's generally not a good sign. But in other Hyundai news, Autoblog reports that it's going to bring its flagship Equus sedan to the U.S. According to an anonymous source, the luxury model is expected to arrive in July of next year with a sticker price of around $60,000. Obviously, at that price, it's not likely to be a high-volume model, but instead, a halo car for the brand. Hyundai is targeting the similarly priced Lexus LS460 while offering more luxury amenities. In a scene reminiscent of the UAW's Battle of the Overpass, Ward reports that some 900 weapon-wielding SsangYong workers forced 4,000 company managers and non-union employees out of a plant on Saturday. The workers are striking because of a court-ordered restructuring plan that cuts jobs. They beat some people and threw firebombs in several violent clashes. More than 70 workers were injured, most of whom were hospitalized. SsangYong is now controlled by Chinese automaker SAIC. Coming up next, I take a test drive of the Pontiac G8 GXP. Here's a sneak preview. Wow! Back in a moment.
Changing tires out here could be dangerous, but with these tires, I don't need to worry.
Bridgestone.
The Pontiac brand is going away just as the G8 is really starting to hit its stride. I just finished test driving the GXP version, the high-performance version, and here's my verdict. You know, just looking at this Pontiac G8 GXP is enough to bring tears to my eyes. This is a beautiful automobile. But just as they nail it, just as they get it right, one of the best cars Pontiac's ever put in its lineup, they axe the brand. And you know, it's only been on the market for about a year, and yet the G8 is already the second best-selling car in the entire Pontiac lineup. The only Pontiac that outsells this is the G6. In fact, sales of the G8 are up 75% from a year ago. And it's easy to see why. Just take a look at this thing, especially the GXP version. 6.2-liter engine under the hood, 400 horsepower. This thing drives like a dream. Come on, I'll take you and show you what I'm talking about. The first thing you notice when you get in this car is just how much room there is. This is a big car, especially in the back seat. Lots of room back there. But come on, let's take it for a spin and see what it can do. First thing that you really notice about this car is it really gets it. And I hope the mics can pick this up because this engine sounds terrific. I love the way that this car performs. The other thing that you'll notice too is when you drive it is how it corners. This is more stiffly sprung than you'd typically find in a General Motors North American car. And of course, this car is not from North America. It was developed by Holden in Australia. And of course, the Australian market is much more like the European market. So you've got a car whose the brakes, the steering, the suspension is much more tuned to what you might find in a European car than a typical American one. Another thing that I like about this car is the use of materials. It's got soft materials, or if there's plastic, it's been soft painted. Really goes together well. In fact, they've even matched the graining on the top of the dash with the weave in the headliner. Very nice touch and something that most designers wouldn't take the trouble to go do. You know, everywhere I go, people ask me about this car. A lot of them ask whether they should buy one or not. Let me tell you, you like this car, you better buy it before they disappear. The base price of the Pontiac G8 GXP is $38,000. The one that I drove cost just about $41,000, which includes a $1,700 gas guzzler tax. The car is rated at 15 miles per gallon, but according to the readout in the car I drove, I averaged 18 miles per gallon. That's about 13 liters per 100 kilometers. Hey, don't forget to tune in Thursday night for Autoline After Hours. It's the only live webcast covering everything about cars and the automotive industry. And it is possible we'll have something of an announcement to make that night. That's Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 2300 hours GMT. And that's it for today's top news in the global automotive industry. Thanks for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
Visit our website for even more great content all week long. Autoline Extra, Dawn's Journal, podcasts, and even more. So click over and get the inside view at AutolineDetroit.tv.